If you opened your bank account recently and noticed your Social Security check was a little larger than usual and nobody announced it, you're not imagining things. Some payments have quietly increased. No press conference, no big headline, no flashy stimulus bill. Just slightly larger deposits showing up for certain retirees, SSDI recipients, and SSI beneficiaries. And if you're wondering whether this is a mistake, a bonus, or something temporary, you're not alone. Today I'm going to explain exactly what's happening, who qualifies, and why some checks are now higher than they were just a few months ago. If you rely on Social Security income, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss updates like this. Clear information matters, especially when you're living on a fixed income. Now let's talk about what's really going on. This is not a brand new stimulus program. It's not a surprise law passed overnight. What's happening is something quieter and in many cases long overdue. The Social Security Administration regularly reviews earnings records, benefit formulas, delayed retirement credits, Medicare premium deductions, and cost of living rounding adjustments. When corrections happen, they sometimes trigger small increases. For some people, that increase is $18 a month. For others, it's $42. In a few cases, it's over $100. Here's what this means for you. If SSA recalculates your benefit and determines you were slightly underpaid due to a prior earnings record issue, they adjust your monthly amount going forward. Sometimes they also send a catch-up payment for prior months. Let me explain why this matters. Your Social Security retirement benefit is based on your highest 35 years of earnings. If an employer reported income late, or if a self-employment year was corrected, your average indexed monthly earnings could rise. Even a small change in that calculation can shift your primary insurance amount. For example, if your original benefit was $1,842 per month and a corrected earnings year raises your calculation by just 1.8%, that's about $33 more per month. Over a year, that's nearly $400. Now multiply that over several years. This is where many people get confused. They assume increases only happen during the annual COLA adjustment, but recalculations can happen anytime. Another reason some checks are higher involves delayed retirement credits. If you claimed after your full retirement age but the credits weren't fully reflected in the first few payments, SSA may adjust it later. That can increase monthly benefits permanently. There's also something happening with Medicare Part B premiums. If your income dropped and your IRMA surcharge was reduced, your Medicare deduction may have gone down. That means more money stays in your Social Security deposit. It feels like a raise, because it is technically, but it's coming from lower deductions. Now let's talk about SSI recipients. Some states adjust their state supplement payments annually or after administrative reviews. States like California, New York, and Massachusetts add extra funds on top of federal SSI. If those supplements were updated, the combined deposit may be slightly larger. And there's another factor people overlook: payment timing. Social Security retirement and SSDI payments are sent based on birth dates, the second, third, or fourth Wednesday of the month. SSI is typically paid on the first. When a holiday or weekend shifts payment dates, it can look like two deposits happened close together. That's not extra money, but it can create confusion. Now, what about lump sums? If someone was approved for disability after a long wait, sometimes 8, 12, even 18 months, SSA issues retroactive back pay. That can be thousands of dollars in one deposit. Some viewers in Texas and Florida recently reported lump sums between $3,200 and $9,000 after approval delays were cleared. That's legitimate back pay, not a new bonus. Here's what you should do right now. Log into your My Social Security account at ssa.gov. Check your current benefit amount. Compare it to last year's benefit letter. Look for wording like benefit recalculation or adjustment. If your payment increased and you don't understand why, you can call SSA directly or schedule a phone appointment. Never rely on someone who contacts you first. And that brings me to something important. Whenever adjustments happen, scammers follow. SSA will never call you asking for your bank account to release an increase. They will never charge a fee to apply an adjustment. If someone claims you must send money to receive a larger payment, hang up immediately. Now let's zoom out for a moment. Are more increases coming? The next official cost of living adjustment will be announced in October, based on inflation data from the Consumer Price Index. Early projections suggest it could be more modest than last year's adjustment, but still meaningful. Meanwhile, lawmakers in Washington continue discussing proposals related to Social Security funding, payroll tax caps, and benefit formulas. None of those discussions change your current monthly payment. Your benefits today are being paid in full under current law. Here's the simple takeaway. Some Social Security checks are larger right now because of recalculations, corrections, delayed credits, or lower deductions. Not because of a secret stimulus. It's quiet, it's technical, and it's legitimate. If you noticed an increase, verify it through official channels. If you didn't, that doesn't mean something is wrong. These adjustments are individual, not universal. Before we close, let me put this in plain terms. Your benefit is built from your earnings history. If that history changes, your benefit can change. If deductions change, your deposit can change. If a correction is made, your payment can rise. That's what's happening for some recipients right now. This is not a cut. It's not a cancellation. It's not a surprise check program. It's a system recalculating details behind the scenes. And clarity gives you control. Review your record, watch your deposits, plan your budget based on confirmed amounts, not rumours. If you've seen a change recently, share your city and state in the comments. Different states handle supplements differently, and your experience might help someone else understand theirs. If you have questions about your specific situation, ask them below. Many viewers learn just by reading others' stories. Your Social Security check matters, your work history matters, and your peace of mind matters just as much. Stay informed, stay steady, and remember, small increases can make a real difference over time. You're not being left in the dark. You're being updated, even when it happens quietly. When most retirees think about their Social Security check going up, they immediately think about the annual cost of living adjustment, the COLA that's announced every October and applied in January. But COLA is only one piece of the puzzle. The Social Security Administration recalculates benefits for thousands of people throughout the year, and those recalculations can raise your monthly payment even when there's no national announcement. One of the biggest reasons behind these quiet increases is earnings record corrections. Your retirement benefit is calculated using your highest 35 years of indexed earnings. If you worked more than 35 years, the system uses the top 35. If you worked fewer, zeros are included for missing years. Now here's what matters. If an old year of earnings was reported late, corrected, or updated, even decades later, it can replace a lower year in that formula. Let me give you a realistic example. Say your original benefit was calculated at $1,765 per month. Years ago, one of your employers underreported $8,000 in earnings. That error gets corrected after you provide documentation or after SSA updates its records. That additional income slightly raises your average indexed monthly earnings. The result might be a 1.5% to 2% increase in your primary insurance amount. That could mean your new benefit becomes $1,802 instead of $1,165. That's a $37 monthly increase. Over 12 months, that's $444. Over 5 years, that's more than $2,200. And here's the key part. If the correction applies retroactively, SSA may also send you a lump sum for the months you were underpaid. This is not a bonus. It's money you were already entitled to. Another quiet increase comes from delayed retirement credits. If you claimed Social Security after your full retirement age, for example at 68, 69, or 70, you earn delayed retirement credits worth roughly 8% per year until age 70. Sometimes those credits are applied gradually or adjusted after final wage data is processed. Imagine someone whose full retirement age was 67 but they waited until 70 to claim. That's about a 24% increase in their base benefit. If there was a timing issue or recalculation, the monthly check might be adjusted upward after the initial payments began. Even a small adjustment of $50 to $90 per month can show up quietly without much explanation unless you read your benefit notice carefully. Now let's talk about Medicare deductions, because this is where a lot of people get surprised. Most retirees have their Medicare Part B premium automatically deducted from their Social Security check. In 2025, the standard Part B premium is around $174.70 per month. However, higher income retirees may pay more due to IRMA-A, income-related monthly adjustment amount. If your income recently dropped, maybe you retired fully, sold property in a previous high-income year, or stopped drawing from certain investments, your IRMA surcharge could be reduced after you file the proper documentation with SSA. When that happens, your Medicare deduction decreases. Let's say you were paying $244 per month due to IRMA, and after a review, it drops to the standard $174.70. That's nearly $70 more staying in your monthly deposit. Your benefit didn't technically increase, but your take-home amount did. Here's what this means for you. If your deposit is larger, don't just look at the gross benefit amount. Check whether your Medicare deduction changed. Many people miss this detail and assume there's a mysterious bonus. Now let's move to SSI recipients, because there's another layer there. Supplemental Security Income is a federal program, but some states add extra funds called state supplements. These vary widely. California, for example, has its own supplement system. New York and Massachusetts also provide additional amounts depending on living arrangements. If a state updates its supplement level or corrects a payment category, such as changing from living in another's household to living independently, the monthly amount can increase. Even a $25 or $40 state adjustment can feel significant when you're on a fixed income. Another reason some checks are changing involves something called recomputation. If you continue working while receiving retirement benefits before full retirement age, some of your benefits may be temporarily withheld due to the earnings test. Once you reach full retirement age, SSA recalculates your benefit to credit you for the month's benefits were withheld. That recalculation often results in a slightly higher monthly payment going forward. Many people don't realize that money withheld earlier can eventually increase their base benefit. Now here's something important. Not everyone will see an increase. These adjustments are individualized. They depend on your earnings history, your claiming age, your Medicare status, your state, and whether any corrections were recently processed. If your check hasn't changed, that does not mean something is wrong. It simply means your record hasn't been recalculated in a way that increases your payment. Let me explain why this matters in the bigger picture. Social Security is not a static program. It's constantly processing wage data, correcting errors, updating benefit categories, and reviewing eligibility. Most of those changes happen behind the scenes. When the system corrects something in your favor, the deposit can grow quietly, sometimes by 18 times, sometimes by 63 times, sometimes by a few $100s if back pay is involved. And occasionally, if someone's disability approval was delayed and then finalized, the retroactive payment can be several $1,000s, covering prior months. If that happens, you'll typically receive a formal notice in the mail explaining the calculation. This is where many people get confused again. They see a larger deposit before the letter arrives. The money shows up first. The explanation follows later. So if your check is bigger this month, don't panic. Don't assume it's an error, but also don't assume it's permanent until you verify it. Log into your My Social Security account and look at your current benefit statement. Compare the numbers carefully. Look at the gross benefit, then the deductions, then the net deposit. That breakdown tells the real story. Here's the bottom line for this section. These increases are not random. They're tied to recalculations, credits, corrections, deductions, or state-level adjustments. They're legal, they're within current law, and they're happening quietly because the system is technical, not dramatic. Understanding why your payment changed puts you back in control, and when you're living on a fixed income, control and clarity matter more than ever. In most cases, these quiet increases are tied to legitimate recalculations, corrections, delayed credits, Medicare premium changes, or state supplement updates. The system adjusts constantly behind the scenes. When something works in your favor, the deposit reflects it. But here's where you need to stay smart. Never build your monthly budget around an amount you haven't confirmed. If you received an extra $40 or $75 this month, log into your My Social Security account and verify that the gross benefit has officially changed. If the gross benefit is the same but your deposit increased, check your Medicare deduction. That difference often explains everything. Here's what this means for you. It means for clarity protects your stability. If the increase is permanent, you can adjust your budget with confidence. Maybe that means catching up on a utility bill. Maybe it means refilling prescriptions without stress. Maybe it means adding a small cushion to your checking account so you're not cutting it so close each month. If the increase was a one-time adjustment or retroactive payment, treat it carefully, use it intentionally, avoid spending it emotionally. Fixed income requires steady planning. Now let's zoom out to the bigger picture, because I know many of you are thinking beyond just this month. Social Security remains fully operational under current law. Retirement benefits, SSDI, and SSI payments are continuing on schedule. The trust fund discussions you hear about in Washington involve long-term projections, not immediate cuts to current checks. Your benefits today are being paid in full. The next official cost of living adjustment will be announced in October based on inflation data. That adjustment, if approved, would apply in January. That's the only nationwide increase that applies across the board. Everything else, like the changes we discussed today, happens individually. This is where many people get confused by headlines. They see phrases like increase, adjustment, or update and assume it applies to everyone. But Social Security is personalized. Your benefit is based on your work record, your claiming age, your deductions, and your state. No two beneficiaries have exactly the same calculation. Before we close, let me summarize the most important takeaway in simple terms. Some Social Security checks are larger right now because of recalculations, corrections, delayed retirement credits, Medicare deduction changes, or state supplement updates. This is not a surprise stimulus. It is not a secret new law. It is not a temporary bonus being handed out nationwide. It is the existing system correcting and updating individual records. And that's actually a good sign. It means the system is still reviewing data. It means errors can be fixed. It means your record matters. So here's what you should do moving forward. Review your earnings history at least once a year. Keep copies of your W-2s or self-employment tax returns. Open and read every letter from Social Security, even if it looks technical. Protect yourself from scams by remembering that SSA will never call asking for payment or bank details. Plan your monthly spending based on confirmed numbers, not rumors. And most importantly, don't let fear-driven headlines shake your confidence. Your work history built your benefit. Your contributions funded the system, and your payments are continuing. If you've seen your check increase recently, Share your city and state in the comments. Different states handle supplements differently, and your experience might help someone else understand what they're seeing. If you're concerned about your specific situation, leave your question below. Chances are someone else is wondering the same thing. We're navigating retirement together with facts, not panic. Small increases may not make headlines, but they can make a real difference over time. Stay informed, stay steady. And remember, when your check changes quietly, understanding why gives you power. Your benefit matters, your stability matters, and your peace of mind matters just as much.